Hey everybody, just going to shoot another little cautionary tale sort of video here. I'm in the middle of doing a water change on my 125 gallon Discus tank. I was going to sit down in front of it and shoot a video after I got it slightly cleaned up and everything, but I think instead of doing that, I'm going to shoot this video instead. You will know, if you are a regular viewer of mine, that I often talk about Dan-proofing my tanks and making sure I set these tanks up in such a way that my lackadaisical sort of nature is not going to really run me into any kind of problems should I forget to do something or forget to plug something back in, and so on and so forth. And I've often mentioned how this tank can pretty much manage itself even if I forget to turn the filter back on. And so when I'm in here today, I'm getting ready to do a water change. I got the hose in there, I'm draining the tank. I finally got around to getting into here to do something about wiping the glass down, and I noticed I do not have any water at all flowing out of my spray bar. All we've got is the water that is flowing out of this little power head right here, and we're about to actually lose that as it drips below. The suction intake is right on the very bottom of the unit, so as the water drains down, we're going to actually lose that little bit of flow. And I do have a power head down there in the bottom corner that moves quite a bit of water. So between those two, I've always got water circulation moving around the tank. I've also got a couple of air stones in this tank, so it's honestly not that big a deal that the filter's not running. But when I came down here and checked, you can see why the filter's not running. I got the valve open. Well, I've got the valve closed. I say open because it looks like it's opened. It's in the lifted up position. So last time I was in here doing a water change, which was a couple of weeks ago, I closed this valve so that I could get in here and do some work, or just so that it would stop running. And then when I started the tank back up, I never opened that valve again. So for several weeks, this tank has been sitting here with no filter running. That's just been in there swirling around. So now, instead of just opening that valve up and letting that water flow again, I really do not know what's on the inside of that filter. So like it or not, I'm going to be in there and I'm going to do a filter cleaning. I'm going to get all that old stuff out of there. I may have already done a filter change and I just never started it back up, and it may be brand new material on the inside there. That's actually kind of what I suspect. But I also may have simply shut the filter off last time I did a little bit of maintenance to it, just like we're doing now. I was not planning on changing the filter. I was just going to stop it from flowing while I was in there working, and then I should theoretically have turned it back on again when I was done. And so it's possible that the last time I was in here I did that, and that is actually a filter full of old gunky dirty stuff that's been closed off and sealed for about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks now. So we're not going to take the chance. I'm just going to go ahead and get in there and clean it all out. And I'm going to have a filter change today. Like it or not, I wasn't really planning on doing all that, but that's what we are going to be doing. So tomorrow's video is going to be about nitrate and its correlation to your pH, or I should say its relationship to your pH. I was going to sit down and shoot a video about that this afternoon, but I think this tank maintenance is going to sort of take precedence over that. We're going to get on this, and this is going to be today's video. And then tomorrow you can look forward to the video about the nitrate and how nitrate is related to the pH in your tank. Alright everybody, I thought I would shoot a little epilogue for you. I was right on both counts. I definitely did a filter change last time I was in there, and I simply never turned it back on, or I should say I never opened that valve up and allowed the water to start flowing again. The pump was running that whole time. The impeller was spinning. That filter was very warm, but no water was flowing through it. It was simply spinning its wheels and nothing was happening. The water that was in there was just going around and around and nothing was moving. And so as a result, when I opened it up, well, let's just say it smelled reminiscent of low tide. It was very, very fragrant when I opened it up. And it had a very, very distinct fragrance of dead stuff. It was mucky and yucky and gross. But all of the filter material was clean. It was fairly white on the inside, a little grayed out. So what happened was all of the biological material in there died as a result of not having any fresh oxygen. Your biological bacteria, the biological filtration in your tank, the microbial life, is very, very much oxygen and food dependent. If you starve it of either, it will die off within hours. And so after a couple of weeks of having that filter closed off, there was simply no way any of that biological bacteria was going to survive in there. And so I rinsed everything out. I didn't scrub it and, wash it in those regards, but I got everything all nice and rinsed out. I got everything cleaned up, and we're going to put it back together, and hopefully this time I will remember to get it flowing again. And once I do, I'm expecting to see a little bit of cloudy water within the next few days. I think we probably did some serious disruption to the nitrogen cycle in that filter. And so even though the tank will be fine, the tank itself very clearly has enough biofiltration capacity that I didn't even need that filter, as I've said many times. In fact, I never even bothered to check the ammonia in the tank. I took it for granted that it's fine. And I'm still going to take it for granted that it was fine. I have no reason to believe it wasn't fine. But when I get the tank up and running again and I get that filter flowing again, it's going to have to cycle that filter back in and become part of the tank again. And so when it does that, I think we're probably going to see a little bit of cloudy water develop from that filter cycling back in. But I don't know, maybe not, we'll see. But as I said, make sure you're subscribed, that way you won't miss that or anything else. And if nothing else, the lesson learned here is better safe than sorry. If you do make a boneheaded mistake and forget to turn the filter back on the other day or something like that, don't just rush in there and open that valve back up and let that water start flowing again. Even if you think you did a filter change last time or whatever, if it's been closed off for a little while, just go ahead and clean that filter out and get fresh stuff in there and start over, because your biological material does not survive very long when it's in those kind of conditions. So make sure you're subscribed. You don't want to miss that or anything else I've got coming up. Don't forget, I do a live stream every Friday night and Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and for my members, I do a private members only live stream on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and that's always a lot of fun. So if you join up for basic membership, you'll get access to that as well as everything else on my membership page. So thanks for watching. I'll see you real soon in the next one.